Okay.
Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. It's beautiful today. It's always beautiful. You know, I always start my show being grateful, being thankful to be here. I mean, to see another day, to see the beauty of the world, to breathe, to talk with beautiful people like the lady you're seeing on the screen. I mean, I'm just thankful for every little thing, good and bad. Woke up a bit better this morning compared to the past few days. So I know something has changed between then and now, and I am grateful for that insight, whatever it may be, that allowed me to wake up a bit different this morning. I'm really, really thankful. And the thing about it is that I'm aware that there's a difference, and that is good. I'm aware that there's a difference. A lot of people are not aware, unconscious. There are a lot of unconscious people walking around. It's amazing. So I'm here today with Doreen Cumberford, and I'm seeing it showing up on her screen as Cumberford Palmer. She'll explain that a little bit later. Probably between last night and this morning, she got married again. I don't know. But
No,
I don't know. She'll explain that, but it's showing up as Cumberford Palmer on the screen. But
I'm
I
making a note.
let me tell you a bit about her. So Doreen speaks, writes, and coaches on international transitions and global-hearted leadership. Very different. We have to understand what that means as well. She's the author of the upcoming Life in the Camel Lane, a motivational memoir of her time in Saudi Arabia, helping readers to transform their lives before, after, and through international travel. She's the organizer of Arriving Well, Doreen, launching on September 11th this year. Is that still so?
Oh, yes.
And home again, jiggity, jig the workbook. I love that, jiggity. Yeah, that I dance. So jiggity sounds good. So Doreen has lived in 7 countries so far. I'm going to say so far. She has lived in 7 countries on 4 continents, including the Middle East for 17 years. That's as old as I am, 17. A native of Scotland, Doreen worked for the British government in London and Cameroon and an American corporation in Dubai, the place where everybody wants to go. She has been an entrepreneur, coach, writer, and speaker since 1995. Doreen was a global hearted practitioner from 95 until 2010 in Saudi Arabia. She speaks on inclusivity, the transformational benefits of travel, and creating a functional vision. Wow, a lot of stuff we need to talk about today. And we are talking about travel. Is it travel? What are we talking about today? Let's see. Let me make sure I get it right. Moving makes me happy. Moving makes me happy. And we can tell that Doreen, being in 7 countries, clearly is a mover. And why would she think that moving is such a good idea? Before we went live, she and I was just talking, and I mean, things just come up, and we were talking about change, and change is good, yeah. So before I go straight into the discussion, I've been officially welcome Doreen. Welcome, Doreen, to Between the Lines.
Good morning. Thank you, Corinne. Lovely to meet you
It's
and
great
your
to have.
guests and your audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Doreen, we were talking off air about change is good, and you're talking about today, moving makes me happy. Me meaning you, me, anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, why should moving make someone happy? That's change.
Exactly.
And that sometimes moving is a matter of physical, it could be a matter of mental, it could be a matter of spiritual. For you, we're talking about travel, so we're talking about moving from where you're accustomed living, your comfort zone, into somewhere else. Moving is also exercise. It's a number of different ways. So I want when people listening to this, when we say moving makes you happy, whatever that move may be. Now you deal with travel, but for somebody, before they even venture off into travel, it may be just moving mentally, a mental shift from one to the next. Just the concept. Let's talk about the concept of moving. Moving, why would it make you happy?
Well, it's proven that as human beings, we all require movement, physical movement. In fact, ancient man was very adaptation in his own environment, because he was willing to run and be, he had to not only be chased by the tigers, but also to chase the animals to catch them.
Yeah.
And so that stimulates our brain. It keeps us curious. Movement, even if it's only physical movement, wherever you are, getting up and taking a walk can change your perspective.
Yeah.
Because movement not only changes the body, but it actually changes the brain and the way we think, which is the use of our mind.
Yes, yes. And I like how you said that. It changes your perspective. So anyone who may be going through whatever, that whole obsessive overthinking, over worrying over anything, sometimes you just need to stop and take a walk. Let some air run through those brain cells. And suddenly, just because you have moved away from the chatter, the noise that's going on. And I don't mean noise like around you, but noise in your head.
Mental noise.
Yeah, the mental noise. The mind.
And it can actually, right. It can actually also, Corinne, be physical noise. Like if you have a lot of junk in your presence, or you have a lot of clutter in your life.
Yes.
All of that is a version of noise and potential for distraction.
Yes.
Because that's what noise is. It is potential for distractibility.
Yeah.
And as humans, if we're going to be high-performing beings, we need to shut down the distractibility and become more focused. And moving tends to help you do that.
Wow. So for you, let's go back into your past a bit. Global Hearted, yeah, it's not that far back now. Don't make it seem so far. Global Hearted Leadership. Tell us about that. What is that?
Global Hearted Leadership was a term that I heard in around about the late 1990s. And then I actually was a spiritual practitioner during my time when I lived in Saudi Arabia. Wow. So I held courses and I walked people through courses like writing courses and journaling courses and self-discovery and self-development. And then the more I lived in Saudi, the more I realized that I was actually developing a universal heart. And that I was actually connecting to other human beings in different cultures, of different languages, of different philosophies, backgrounds, and religions. And I realized that actually there's a potential for someone to lead from the global heart in order to consider the problems of the planet. Because we have, I'm sure everyone here would agree, that we have challenges. And if we can align our thinking, our heart, and our gut, then we can come from a more centered place. And that is where global hearted leadership comes in. It comes into leading with the spirit of enjoying the globe and speaking on behalf not just of a nation or a country, but for humanity. Wow.
But is humanity ready for that?
I don't think it matters. I mean, maybe we're ready, maybe we're not. I think all of us, just by virtue of the fact that we're human and we're on this planet, I believe that each of us is ready because we're here, and this is now, and this is the only time we have. And if you wait until you're ready to do something, 99% out of 100, either it doesn't happen or it happens ineffectively. The universe actually loves speed, and the universe loves change, and the universe loves moving, as you can see from this interconnected globe that we are currently living on. And it has been a complete expansion towards this idea since the beginning of mankind. So I don't really care whether people are ready for it or not. I believe that on some level, we're here, and if we are going to be in agreement with each other, we can start focusing on global leadership.
I agree. It's no. Everything is right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, everything is right now. And I'm more convinced. I mean, I've been doing some work with Eckhart Tolle. I'm sure you probably know who that is.
Yes. Oh,
And
yes.
I've been consuming him a lot. I'm on a spiritual journey, you know, so it's helping me to delve more into myself, look inward. And I mean, it's amazing of the work that you have to do in terms of that change and coming back to moving, that mental shift.
Exactly.
Yeah, that mental shift. And
And
everything, yeah, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, you know, there are 6 mental faculties that we have, which is actually for a whole different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But our mental faculties, and you're talking about mentally shifting, there's 6 areas where we can do that. And one is our will, that's our determination. One is our reasoning and our logic. Another is our imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Another is our perspective
Mm-hmm.
and our intuition.
Mm-hmm.
There's one more. But anyway, there's 5 out of the 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just move a little, make that mental shift in one of those areas, even if we start imagining better,
Mm-hmm.
even if we start imagining what it is we would love, or what it is we could do for the planet, or how we can help another being, those tiny moments are electrical sparks in the form of ideas. And that's where change starts. And so it doesn't have to be a big interplanetary thing. It just has to be tiny steps taken consistently in the similar direction that gets you there.
Yeah, yeah. I like how Eckhart, you know, does it. I mean, and he's absolutely right when he goes through the whole process of the way you think and the whole,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, he's I mean, and when as I dig more into it, I realize, I mean, he's not new to saying that. Seneca in his works talk about being present in the now.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, people may not have known of Seneca. He's quite from way, way, way before.
Ancient Rome.
People recognize Eckhart Tolle because, I mean, he's modern, he's
Modern
now.
day.
And
Mm-hmm.
in persons digging up, and if they really delve more, they would realize it goes back to probably Seneca. And probably Seneca created something or spoke about something that somebody else spoke about back in the day. So, but what happens is that we recognize somebody now. And what I think Eckhart has done is put it in a way that persons in this time, this now, can understand and consume compared to the time of Seneca. But right now, all I focus on is right now. And I've realized over my time, I focus on now, the present, this moment. So to me personally, I wouldn't even go into the 6 or 7 or 10 or whatever other things. It's just right now, because my mind is just into calming down, being still. So that whole movement, mental shift, the chatter, the overthinking, the over talk, the over whatever, is really to still the mind, and everything else is going to fall into place, you know, after that.
Probably that's true. And these are the channels by which we use a mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because we have access to a mind, a minefield, or a minefield, as it were. Yeah. And these are the access points. And so the more we are aware of what they are, how we're using them, and how we can change them, the more depth we can create, the more stillness we can create. And in that stillness, we can listen better for the currency of the universe, which is ideas.
Yeah. And you said a key word there, the awareness. That is the key. The awareness, being aware, being able to watch, to listen to what's happening, and then decide, nope, I'm not going to follow you here. Yep, I'm going to follow you here. You know. But the moving. So for you were exposed as somebody, you're American, went to Saudi Arabia, 2 totally different cultures. How?
Not American though.
You're not American? You live in America.
I live in America now, but I am from Scotland.
Oh,
as you told your listeners at the beginning, I grew up in Scotland and lived until I was in my 20s in the UK. Wow. So my roots are really very different from American roots. Yeah. And those 2 cultures, while we share a similar language, we actually share less cultural markers than other countries, and there are more failed assignments in global mobility between the US and the UK than any other two nations.
Wow, why is that?
Well, although we share a similar language, we don't necessarily think the same.
Comes back to that again.
Yeah, we have different practices, different structures, different ideas, completely different history. We have a different inroads, I think, slightly into creativity. America is very creative, very innovative. In the old country, it's like we're viewed as if they're not, but they are actually extremely creative and innovative, but in different ways. So yeah, that's my background. And I don't feel American. I can that's the thing. I can pass myself off as a chameleon. I'm a turtle with a shell on my back. And wherever I show up, it's home because I have my shell on my back.
That's right. That's right. I could relate to that. I can relate to that. You just adapt. You know, wherever you are, you just adapt.
You do.
Yes.
You do.
And I think that is important for someone to be open and flexible, you know, to not only others, different races, different cultures, different values, different norms. It is important in this world for you to interact, to relate with others and not feel that your way is the only way. You may be surprised to find out that the way of Saudi Arabia, for example, or the way of Scotland, their approaches to things may be a better approach if you just open yourself to it.
And I think that that's really the my big message when I work with expats and I work with people on global mobility is really selecting the practices of each culture you've lived in, choosing the ones that you will keep. And some of them you may keep for a lifetime. Some of them you may just keep for a few years. And I'll give you an example of that. We lived in Japan for a couple of years. And in Japan, of course, we take our shoes off.
Yes.
And in our house, for the most part, we are a shoes off house all these, you know, almost 18, 20 years later. And so that is a habit that we have adopted. Also, the way I give my business card to someone in Japan, when you hire someone a card, you hand them a card like this, as if it's a present, and as if there's presence in that card. And the Japanese are very present oriented. They blend polychronic and monochronic cultures together.
Wow.
And so there's a couple of things that I have adopted that are slightly Japanese, apart from the fact that my home, when you enter my home, I have 2 wedding kimonos hanging on the wall, big white kimonos. And they always mean to me, they have a feeling of Zen, a feeling of quietness, a feeling of silence that comes with them.
Yes.
And also the sense of being married to the invisible, being married to ideas and being married to things that, you know, you can't necessarily feel, see, and touch. So when we travel, no matter where you go, whatever you pick up, and your audience has probably been all over the world, but I'm hoping they can think of a moment when they went, oh yeah, I think I'll keep that idea, or I'll keep that word in my language, or I will forever remember how to make noodles, or now I know how to eat with chopsticks. You know, these are little things, but they add up and they build the dictionary or the vocabulary of our own internal culture.
Yeah. It's what you want. Well, it's what you want to identify with to help you build yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you think will add value to you, to yourself.
Yes, exactly. They do. Exactly. It is a value added situation. Yeah.
Yes, to add to yourself. It doesn't necessarily define you, but it is something that you feel adds value to you. To make you a better human and to be a better person when relating to others.
And you know, Yeah, I interviewed about 40 to 60 women for the book Life in the Camel Lane, and we're just comparing stories and catching stories. And I feel like I'm a story catcher and siever. You know, you catch the stories, you sieve them out, and the good ones, you know, you keep the good ones.
That's right.
And one of the things that one of the interesting situations is that for most of the women, and I think that people find this universally, if you have had a very unusual shared experience that very few other of your peers have enjoyed, there is a heartfelt connection that is created. And for most of us who have lived in Saudi Arabia, like you started your show, Corinne, with great gratitude for the good in that experience, but great gratitude for the difficulties. I lived through, I think, something like 25,000 prayer calls.
Wow.
And I was, you know, it takes 10,000 days to be good at anything. Well, I was only there for half of that, 5,000 days. But in those 15 years, I did change, and I believe that we not only change in our physical and emotional being, but our cellular and spiritual being. Our soul is being impregnated by culture all the time.
Yeah.
And so two things. One thing is that we create this heartfelt connection. And number two, we start to build a bond with people who have had unusual and different experiences in their lives.
Wow.
And we seek that out.
There are persons, Doreen, that are not ready. They are not capable. They are not, I won't say capable, let me change that. They're just not ready for whatever reason. But you know, it comes from fear of traveling, of even stepping out of, let's even bring it down to stepping out of their own community.
Yes.
To go somewhere else. Forget travel. Forget taking a plane or a train or anything.
All right.
Step out of their own community to go somewhere else to live. They live in one area and they're like, there. Yes, born, have children, generations right here. And they would not try somewhere else.
But you see, that's the difference between the settled mindset and the curious mindset. Because if people are curious, they're willing to do what it takes to go out and be curious and be present in the world and discover things and experiment. So that's what makes me think about that. And I think that the other people, they will come along as they hear their call. And the more we speak to the ones who are listening, who are engaged, who are interested and curious about the world and its beauty and its people and its cultures, the more we talk to those people, the more the others start to listen in and they start to lean in. And there's a phrase, you know, it says, wherever your attention goes, energy flows. So I believe we need to put our attention on the people who are already curious, like your listeners. They're already curious. They're already interested. They're like, what could I do now? And they're asking themselves great questions. They're asking themselves possibility and potential questions at this right now. So I think as we focus and love on those people, that tribe grows.
That's right. And that's a good point, because not everything that is said or every episode or whatever that I do is meant for everyone. And some people may be upset, and you can tell this is not for you. If you're upset about something, it's not for you. Right? It's for the people who it's meant for. So don't be upset when somebody gives you a bad review or bad comment or that makes no sense. You don't focus on that. It wasn't for you.
Will you come, when I get my podcast up and running next year, will you come on as my guest and say that again, please?
Of course. Of course. I've had persons, I mean, for example, I did an interview with someone some time ago, and they found that I was talking a bit much and I'm not giving the guest enough time. But it all depends on me explaining myself, but I always give my guests time. But I mean, everybody has a different perspective based on their own way of thinking. Based on what they may want to get out of it. And I don't know, I didn't get upset about it. I was like, hey, because that was just one opinion out of the other opinions. Not that that really matters to me. It wasn't like a mathematical thing. Oh, it's just you alone, and so I had more better reviews. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I generally look at all the comments, and even if it weren't me, I've listened to other podcasts, other persons, and they get bad reviews too, and they're doing pretty well. It doesn't stop you from living. It doesn't stop you from doing what you have to do.
No, and that's the thing about being unstoppable. And if you're a real traveler on the globe, I think there's three kinds of travelers, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who are the tourist, and tourist is like someone who goes and stands in a shower for a little while and then gets out, and feels perfectly clean and ready to go on. And then there's travelers who actually travel and stay in a place, maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year. Yeah. And they are like taking a bath. It's like being immersed.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who become expatriates who actually change their souls internally and become masters of managing not only jet lag, but heart lag and mind lag. Because you have to mentally catch up. There's mind lag and heart lag, I believe. Yeah. And so you have to kind of mentally catch up. And those sorts of people are all around us. And so we're bumping up against each other like we're in some kind of crazy paddle boat race. And I think it's all good, just blessing it and knowing, oh yeah, that was a bad experience, or that didn't go very well. Bless it, move on, done.
Yeah. Take what you can learn from it, ask what you can learn from it, and just move on. Don't dwell on it. I've realized that it's something that I've noticed over time, and I read it somewhere, I can't remember, but it came back to me even doing the work with Toli. And humans are the only species that really beats up itself on things, just repetitive thoughts. Constant torture. You keep hearing this thing over and over to make you feel bad, about something that may have happened many years ago. The past and the future really gets at you. Animals don't have that. They don't walk around doing what they're doing and say, oh my God, did you know you just stepped on my foot? Did you know, I see the internet is giving a bit of a trouble. Did you know that you just bit my child? Did you know that it's not doing that, and it's not going to constantly give you a reminder for the rest of your life until you're dead. Animals don't do that. They just don't have that capability, and yet we have been told that we are the better species as humans. I think that the animals are better off than we are, Doreen.
Well, I think that we make, like you were saying, we make up these stories, we make up these truths, and it's like this, make America great again. It's kind of like, really? Yeah. I think America is pretty great. I think every country has greatness. Every person has value. Every person has greatness. It's like, let's celebrate what we have already. And build on that, because there is so much greatness that lies in each other. And while animals don't have the choice factor, we do have the choice factor, and it's up to us to get really clear and make better choices. Yeah. And moving and traveling, becoming either a serial expat or a chronic expat or whatever you want to call yourself, or just getting out of your environment can be the biggest, greatest transformational experience, way more than you could ever imagine. I'm always talking about that.
I agree with you, and it's coming out of your comfort zone, challenging you, get uncomfortable, feeling that uncomfortable feeling and saying, I'm okay with this. I can deal with it. I'm still alive. I haven't died yet from that. There's nothing to kill me here. I'm not, the fear, there was no reason or basis for the fear. What are some steps you can share with persons just from coming out of their community, basic things that they can do, just for them to, baby steps now, Doreen, baby steps.
Okay, so some baby steps are, let's talk a little bit about the vision. A baby step is is as small as when you put your head down on the pillow at night. What do you wish? What would be your greatest wish? And think about the next day. How would you program your next day? How would you program the tomorrow that you hope to wake up to? Because we're all being breathed by something else. We don't know when we're going to wake up or not, but we're all being breathed by something. And when we wake up in the morning, there's that perspective that you brought, which is called gratitude. So I would say one baby step is put your head on the pillow at night and think about what you're doing. You know, what am I doing? I'm putting my head on the pillow. Am I being grateful for this day and preparing myself for the next day? Because that mental preparation can be a tiny step. Another step you can do is, I was talking to a lady yesterday, and she wants to do some service work, and she's not exactly sure where to go in the world. Well, even if you're not going out of your community or off of your island, and I think of America as a kind of an island as well, but if we're not leaving the island, what can we do with what we have exactly where we are? So what is one act of kindness that we can give to someone today, offer to someone today? What is one simple, beautiful act of kindness? And another thing we can do is think about, how can you make something or someone welcome in your life? I mean, even if it's just your husband coming home, your wife coming home, your kids coming home from school. What one thing can you do to make them feel welcome? Those are tiny, tiny things. But those little markers and those little actions, when done consistently, when done with little effort, and they become automatic, that's what changes us, and that's what expands us, and that's what grows us into, I think, more human and more global leaders. And that's where the global-hearted leadership comes in, is because we start to make others and our life welcome, number one, and we also have a vision of things that we are thinking about, that we would dream about, that we would love for the world, number two. And number three is just to stay fully present and being grateful, like you started the show with.
I love that. I love that. I want to add one thing to that. The baby steps. I want to say to do something for yourself.
Yes.
Self-care. Do something for yourself, because the things that you mentioned, which are all great, tend to be more external. Do for others, do for others. We tend to forget ourselves. And I want people to be able to do something for themselves.
And that's why
we as mothers, we always taking care of the husband, the children, everybody, and we forget ourselves. We do for everybody. And there comes a point that we are frustrated and we're like, I don't do anything for myself. Nobody cares about me. Nobody's giving back to me. Nobody, why quarrel? Take the time every day and do something for you. If simple thing, go to the hairdresser.
That's making yourself welcome.
Yes, but you have to start with you, Doreen, too. Because
absolutely,
if you cannot make yourself welcome, how can you do it for somebody else? Do something for you.
And also, and that's why I wrote Home Again, Jiggity Jig is actually a workbook or a guidebook for people who are returning home from overseas. But it could be coming home after university or coming home after school. It could be coming home after anything. And there is a big section in there in the self-care world, because it seems like as women, I think we must be doing better, because I think that we're getting, I'm looking at your screen.
I shocked you there. Go ahead. I wanted to know what you were talking about. Where can I find
Oh, the books are not on there yet. They're going to be on this week. But if you go to Inspiring Quotes, people can go to Inspiring Quotes on my website, and they can connect with me somehow by email or by phone if they're interested. But all these quotes are about repatriation, and a lot of this is about self-care. Because vision without action is merely a daydream, and action without vision is a nightmare. And part of that is self-care.
Yeah,
Self-care is having a vision that you believe in, that is entirely yours, uniquely yours, because each person is an unrepeatable miracle.
that's right. That's
So
right.
these are just some fun quote cards. Most of them are about travel or moving or enjoying life. And the book section on my website is actually under construction because we just got the pictures of my third book at the weekend, and so of the covers.
Okay.
So it's a very exciting time. And if you and your listeners would love to follow up, I'd be happy to keep sharing the details with you, Corrine.
Of course, no problem. And they can contact you here.
Yeah, yeah,
They can contact you
yeah.
on your website. Should I click on books? Would I see anything here?
No, you won't see anything yet. It's
I
it's
will.
under construction today.
Yeah, so ebook arriving well. So but at least they can see
Yeah,
what the cover looks like.
there you go. That's one of them.
Mhm.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
one of them.
So persons
Yeah,
can jump in here, put their name and email address, and they can get that for free.
right,
Yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have
And oh,
something
there's
cool. There's life
life
in the
in the
Caroline
Caroline.
Lane.
I'm not quite sure how that got there, but there you go.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. It got here because it knows that the universe knows we were being on an interview this morning, and and it got
This is
here.
the universe apparently knew this because I just sent
And
Home
there is
Again
a guy
guidebook,
home again, jiggity jig. So it
and
has
they don't
nothing.
have that
It has nothing to do with you.
Interesting. Oh, that is so funny. I sent them just a little bit and they used it. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of my website
Right.
people.
The universe is working.
So,
I'm telling you.
yes.
So it says due
Yeah.
out February 2019. So you can join the mailing list below to be notified of
Yes.
the release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So
And
join us.
we are a community of global-hearted travelers, expatriates, and people who love to explore. So come on in and play, and I would love that. And Corrine, just for your information, I have about 10 more minutes left.
Oh yeah, I have to go because I have
Oh, you
another
have to
meeting.
go.
Yeah, so our
Excellent.
timing is perfect because I have another meeting. But this is fabulous. And I like the fact that you have this stuff up, your books and the covers, even if it's coming out a little later, persons can jump in and get their name in to get on the list so that when it's released,
Yeah,
they will be the first to know.
exactly. Exactly.
Yes, this is awesome.
So it was just a delight to talk to you today, and I look forward to returning again to your show if there's something else you would like to explore about moving and culture jumping.
Of course, no expatriates. Being an expatriate, I've worked with a company that was dealing with helping expats and sharing experiences and countries that a lot of people have been moving to, and the whole experience of packing up and settling your house and the children and the kids and the dogs and the and just making the move. And I made it happen. There was one that I worked with. He was 18 when he decided to move. Was it to Central America? A lot of people moving to Central America,
Yes, there are.
to live
Yes.
from what they're comfortable with and finding work and just doing virtual work. So I would love for you to come back on to share that whole expat experience for persons who are at a point in their life that really want to make a change, or they just feel for something
Right.
but they don't know where to go. And you
Mm-hmm.
can probably share that sort of
Oh,
advice.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love to help people both with going, but also on the return. The return is always more difficult because we have an image in our mind of before and
Yeah.
home and what that is, and it has changed drastically.
Yeah.
Home has transformed while they've been gone.
Yeah.
And I love to help people go both ways. So it's been my pleasure to meet you, and
Oh,
thank you
yeah.
so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here.
All the best to your viewers, and big hugs to everyone. Let's make this a global-hearted world for all, and a world that works for everyone.
I am not going to say another word after that. I thank you for that. Let's end the show that way on a positive note. Thank you so much.